Hey, True Believers England team here. It's Throwback Thursdays, and we're going to be doing a book that, in all honesty, we should have done a long time ago. As a matter of fact, we planned to do Marvel versus DC's and all the crossovers and everything a while back, and we're going to start at the beginning. Now, technically, this isn't the beginning because Marvel and DC crossed over to do The Wizard of Oz.
Doesn't count.
I agree. I mean, historically it's there, but when people say they want to see Marvel and DC crossover, they don't want to see Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion. They want to see Superman and Spider-Man going head to head. And I think it's fun. I just read it again after, I got to say, Eric, I haven't read this thing in about 20 years.
Why not?
I have no idea. Well, in all honesty, it's not exactly readily available. It's the trade paperbacks are out of print. The actual comics are out of print. Yeah. We all got it now, Bubba. Got my own copy right here.
So what do you mean it's not readily available?
Well, it has been for a couple of months, but that's my show copy. Point being is, it really is. These things have become a little bit more and more hard to get, rare. The trade paperbacks are out of print. They're not doing this again, it seems. I don't know. It seems like in the 2000s, they decided to reignite the Marvel versus DC a lot harder than it had ever been. And now the animosity between the two, never the twain shall meet. What do you think?
At this point, you're probably right. I don't know. Well, for one thing, they're catering to an audience that probably wouldn't appreciate this book anyway. So there's probably not. Yeah, you may see it reprinted again. With like maybe a group of them. Because there is still a part of both companies that does try to tap into the audience that they've lost. They must be separate divisions. But, yeah, well,
I don't know why, because you would think they like money. And this is a sure way of getting it. Especially nowadays.
They've been proving for years that money's not a
that is true
motivating factor. Certainly not with the new books.
Unfortunately, that is so true. It's actually sad how accurate a statement that is. All right, well, now let's get this thing going. Before we do, I'd like to say hello to Spiffy, who was the first one, and to Hilliam. Good to see you too. Yellow Spider-Man, Octopus. Yes, he will be showing up. And by the way, there are some things in this book that I got to say, oh, no, there's no way that would go these days. Now, one thing you mentioned, they wouldn't appreciate this book.
Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Nor would they appreciate Sunday Night Football on NBC, especially on a Thursday. But I think it's the Lois and Mary Jane girl hostage, because that seems to be their only role in this story, and I think that would definitely go.
Oh, that reminds me. I didn't realize that the game was on, so you guys have a good stream.
I gotta go too.
And he froze, so Venkman, let's talk about Superman, Spider-Man.
Can we talk about sports instead?
Right. Okay, and Trusty pointed out a grammatical mistake I made. I don't even know why I put an apostrophe in the word loves, but I definitely didn't notice it when I was making it. So there you go.
Is octopus with an O, not an A?
Good Lord, where did you go to school?
Oh, goodness gracious. We need to get started here.
That's probably a letter you didn't see on many of your report cards.
Breen, you want Breen? Not only has he not read this in 20 years, he hasn't learned how to spell in 20 years.
Yeah, well.
You can spell octopus.
Well, did I spell it with an A? It's Dr. Oh, my gosh, I did. I spelled it Octa.
Oh, my apologies, Venkman. I should have been, and away he goes.
Well, I personally haven't read this book in by 20 years myself. because I didn't get the comics until around 2003, 2002. So it's been a while for me. And I said I forgot this was 90 pages long.
Yeah, can I just say that Eglantine Loves Comics has really stepped up their professionalism.
I think so. I only made one mistake so far.
Did he spell Eglantine right?
Yeah. No, that is something. And yes, I did make another name change because I rode the new one around the stable, a little bit around the corral, and didn't particularly care for it. And I came up with a decent compromise I'm very happy with. I will correct the spelling and grammatical errors and such. So there you go. Anyway, let's get to this book here that we came to read, and if I am actually literate. So yeah. Alrighty. So as always, we start off with a cover. This is iconic at this point.
So I do have to ask you before we get started. Did you read this? I realized you were a little tyke at the time, but did you read this when it came out?
Yes, I did. No, actually, this one I didn't. I read the sequel I bought the sequel off the shelves. This one I got a few years later, but it was back when this one could be found easily. So, yep. I read it young, but I just I didn't get it off the shelves.
Yeah,
this was 1976, 70. When was this?
76.
It was either very early 76 or very late 75. I can't remember, but I know I'd been reading comics for about 2 months when this came out. And back then, I don't think I even knew about it until I saw it on the magazine rack at Kroger. And I begged my mom to get one for me. She got one from both myself and my brother. And I thought, man, is it always this cool in this hobby? Well, fast forward 45 years later, no. Boy, back then it was.
So that $2 price tag would have been prohibitive as far as my mom's concerned.
Well, I had to do a lot of begging.
For $2 now, it's probably like a $20 book.
Well, I just rode around on my bicycle around the front yard going, I want my $2.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know. Usually we talk first about the cover, but this is iconic. It's simple, too. I mean, you've got some detail in the city and all, but you don't need it. This image right here is everything.
If you remember in the inside cover or the back inside cover, there's the history of the cover. And that isn't the original sketch. The first one, they said Superman dominated, so they had to go back and redo it to give him. Everything was carefully put together to where both heroes got equal everything.
But I gotta ask though, which one is Superman though? Because remember, Peter Palmer was listed as Superman.
Yeah. There you go. And yes, two comic book legends put this together. And this is the big problem. Look, Marvel and DC had always had a rivalry, but Carmen Infantino and Stan Lee were actually friends. So they were able to put this together. All right. And I got to tell you, as iconic as the cover is, I love the splash page as well. I just, this whole thing right here, you got the what looks like the Empire State Building behind them. This is just freaking awesome. I love the splash page. Superman and Amazing Spider-Man. This is it, the Battle of the Century. We learn it's written by Jerry Conway, or is it Gary? Anyway, Ross Andrew drew it. And
wow, I gotta say, I thought it was Rita, or what's his name? Wow, now I got brainitis. Now I forgot the name. Romita Senior.
Well, there you go.
Because I remember, as we've always pointed out, a lot of people back then, the thing was to copy Romita Senior.
Okay.
Until up into the 80s, and then you started changing it.
Oh, Jerry Conway. Okay, so the book opens and we get the classic giant robot. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, something they probably gloss over is that's a lot of dead people. That robot's walking through this building here. That's a lot of dead people. Except for, they do end up telling you later in the book, no. Most not all, but most of the buildings had been abandoned. And I thought that was a way of brushing over the fact that, some people did get crushed. This is actually a lot worse than what they're what they play off here.
There was a big festival in Central City that day, and everybody was there.
Oh yeah, okay. So nobody.
So wasn't the slums at all?
Except for those unfortunate people that went to Gotham by mistake and they got whacked by the Joker. But other than that.
Yeah. So Superman has this big battle with the robot and nothing seems to be working every time he goes up against him. And I do think it's kind of funny that he's hitting him with an inertia ray. So it's not really bothering him like as far as hurting. It's just throwing him in areas that makes him do the damage to the city. And you see the robot lift up the roof of Star Labs, and his hand goes in and he steals something, and the robot ends up stepping on Superman, and Superman's like, "Oh my gosh, he's trying to crush me with gravity 10 times the as strong as Krypton." And he finds out that, wait a second, no, actually, that's just the robot needs that kind of gravity to keep it up. So Superman buries it into the ground, and the head pops off and goes flying, and Superman chases after it. And while he does, we see it was Lex Luthor behind this, and he makes his great escape. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm in. At this point, I was just having fun with it. This is a good, silly, I call it Silver Age silliness, but it's really Bronze Age buffoonery, as we've coined the phrase. And then, of course, we see Clark Kent come in. And
that's my favorite part right there.
What the hell is this all about, Eric?
Okay. One of the running gags in Superman was Steve Lombard would always play pranks on Clark, usually to impress the new girl in the office or whatever. And one of his favorites was the water pail over the door. So since this was, as far as I know, this was the only time that Clark ever, paid him back for it.
And
so
he does it by blowing upward, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's this was, I don't know. I watched this. I read this scene. I was like, oh, come on. Oh, come on. Did we not learn from Carrie?
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you try a home test, see if it works, and get back to us.
You know what? I will do this. I'll play the joke on Gail.
I was going to say you're going to go to Gail.
Yeah. I'm always looking for ways to get her to divorce me. I'll play the practical
Eric,
joke on her.
We'll hear the song.
Yeah.
I will remember you.
Hey, Kikazu, how you doing? By the way, he's bringing up the art. And in all honesty, yeah.
It's solid.
What is it? Okay, so we're looking at something that has been drawn 40 years ago, damn near 50 years ago, kids, at this point. And I'm looking at this, and I know what makes it pop for me, and that is, while you get detail in the building, you get detail in the rocks coming off. There's motion lines and the energy. There's footprints on the, there's a lot of stuff that shows movement. There's a lot of stuff here that shows action and story just by looking. This page alone right here.
Yeah.
You see the robot walking through the buildings. You
destruction.
See destruction behind them. You see the crushed truck behind them. You get a story before the image that you're really supposed to focus on. Yet it still looks crisp. It still looks clean, and it looks uncluttered. He pauses for comment.
Well, I'll point out, unlike today's stuff, everything's so close together you can't see that. They zoom in. That's zoomed out.
Okay,
so you see more stuff.
And I don't think you see this bright colors as much anymore. I'm saying as I'm right next to a whole bunch of modern comics, and it's all this kind of brownish, gray, blue sort of thing.
Look how like zoomed in they are on stuff.
Yeah.
How often do you get a splash page that's actually something like, wow, I want this as a poster?
And it is one of it's hard to find something that's as bright and vibrant. I'm not saying the coloring is bad.
No.
There's just something. I know this isn't digital coloring we're looking at like you get today. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Just something seems lost.
Well,
go ahead, Eric.
I would say Ross Andrew was a pretty underrated artist. He had a really lengthy career. Dick Giordano was a phenomenal inker. And this was in a time when the inking was as important as the penciling. Now, they did have a problem with the faces, so they had Neil Adams come in and redo a lot of them, although he's not credited. But I said these guys were professionals. I mean, Ross Andrew knew how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of modern artists just don't take the time to learn.
Go on ahead.
I want to say I agree with Joe Rogers was saying about the art. You know, you don't need words to tell the story, especially that first part with the robot. You don't need any dialogue whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I love about sequential art. That's true comic book art. And it was something that Tim Lim was talking to me about Alex Ross. Love Alex Ross. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan. But he was mentioning while Alex Ross is a great painter, he's not a great comic book artist because his art doesn't flow. His art doesn't move. And when you're doing comic book art, the sequential art has to tell the story so you could at least understand it just by looking without even reading any of the dialogue. The dialogue, I've always said the art brings you in, the dialogue keeps you there as far as stories are concerned. But the dialogue does help and just make the story a little bit deeper. So we see Morgan Edge, and he's like, "Dude, stop your pranking. Come on in. This isn't this is a newsroom, not a playpen." Lombardo feels embarrassed, and he's saying, "Right, we leave this evening for a World News Conference in New York," and they watch as the robots destroying the city, and he gets mad at Clark Kent because he was there and yet got no story out of it, which I kind of think is silly because he knows everything that happened. He could do the Peter Parker thing. This is all the details. Here you go. And so hold on, what happened? Let's see. He's Superman. He hears something. He's like, wait a second, I've been a fool. And he gets his Superman outfit on, and he actually follows the damage. He looks at everything, and the newscast called it one of the biggest bouts of destruction through Metropolis. And he says, yeah, but where was that robot going? And so he flies into the ocean and underwater to Lex Luthor's underwater.
Yeah, Edge scolded him, asking where were you? You're supposed to be covering this, and they realized that he never followed where the robot went.
Right, and so we get the spider base. He goes in, and ta-da! There's Lex Luthor. Luthor, you poisonous snake! And Luthor said, he actually says, "Dude, we were friends, man. Come on. I was hoping someday we would be friends again." And Lex Luthor says, "Yep, but first I'm going to try to kill you with this laser." And he starts up this big old laser death trap that Superman is avoiding. And he's like, "You're fast, but you're not as fast as light." Well, he actually says he modified these lasers to actually they could actually hurt Superman. You got to also remember, this is pre-crisis Lex Luthor. So he's mad scientist, not Donald Trump. Yeah.
Hey, Greenbelt or Greenblatt.
What's up? Did you have something to say there, Eric?
No, I was going to point out Ross Andrew was the regular penciler on Amazing Spider-Man in this era. Mm-hmm. And there were so many issues where he would be dodging things. And it's just weird to see Superman because there's a lot of the same poses. This is kind of neat to see this. And it's funny how Superman, who could punch planets, could basically like lift the world with his pinky, could as fast as speed of light, how easy it was to bring him down to where he would be almost like even in a fight with something like a laser.
Yeah, you think he'd be able to do like an after image technique where
there was something where Luthor's where he's escaping on a flying chair.
Yeah.
In reality, Superman could have had him in jail before he.
Well, I do like the fact that, look, it's part of the golden age goofiness, the silver age silliness, the bronze age buffoonery, that they cherry pick how powerful Superman is compared to whatever story they need. Is he going to be dragging 9 planets behind him on a chain, or is he going to be trying to jump past lasers or something? This is before, and it's kind of weird because at this point, Marvel really did try to create a continuity, and DC wasn't exactly on that bandwagon until a little bit later than them. So this is something kind of brand newish for DC, that they have a set of rules to follow. So at this point, it really is cherry picking what to use for DC continuity and what to let go. And that's a good thing, because who really wants to read the story about the Batman in modern day Gotham at this point, where you've got Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil, and yet think about he'd been on the planet Zarthos fighting the llamas of Lagaria. It just doesn't make sense for the character at that point in time. So Superman bounces through the lasers, finally makes it to Lex Luthor and smashes the little laser controls, tosses him across the room, and ends up arresting him, but not before Lex Luthor sends, hold on just a sec, I have plans for this intriguing device, and he puts it in a pneumatic tube to go to another hideaway, which is something, that's a pneumatic tube going to a different hideaway. How
underwater
long is that freaking pneumatic tube? Yeah, well, if you also think about it, if you go up to this, where's the tubing going? Because he literally says it's another pneumatic tube going to another hideout.
Maybe it shoots out like a torpedo and
then flies like a beacon or something.
Yeah.
And how did Aquaman let this happen in his domain?
I don't know, but right? Rogers says, "I'm going to build a ray gun. I got to kill Superman. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge." Yeah.
That I can tell you.
So. Superman does start getting hit with the energy bolts. He's like, each blast weakens me a little more. No time to move, only time to talk about it. And so Superman says, I know a way to screw him up, and he melts the walls, causing the ocean to come in. And Lex Luthor's like, I'm gonna drown. And so Superman goes, yeah. And he's like, take me to jail, just take me to jail. And we see Superman join up with the rest of the Morgan Edge team to get to New York. And now we pause for a little hero identification, where they tell us about basically what Superman can do. Okay, so that's prologue 1, by the way. And if you notice, prologue 1 is an entire comic book.
As is prologue 2.
As it's been, we will get to him. I was going to see if you had anything else to say about the Superman prologue here, which
I think this was a perfect way to introduce Superman, his arch nemesis, to anybody who had only read Marvel comics up to this point or hadn't read comics up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically, it was comic book 101.
Yeah.
And that was fine, because we were getting something we'd never gotten before, and we didn't need X-Men Teen Titans for this. This was more than enough. And that's, I guess, why the introductions are basic, simple, easy to understand. And, we got them for both companies. All
righty. And then we begin.
My favorite part.
Prologue number 2, starring the Amazing Spider-Man, where he's just kind of hanging out on a flagpole, and it just so happens that the museum he's above starts to get robbed while he's messing around with his camera.
Yeah, he probably got some nice shots going over which was going to sell to JJ, and then it just happens.
There's a lot
got a tip.
Go on ahead. Say again.
I'm sure he'd gotten a tip that this was going to happen.
Maybe, because this is a hell of a lot of coincidence for this to work. Seriously.
Say, he doesn't have, these aren't digital comic books or cameras, so he can't look at what pictures he took.
Let's see. Hold on. Moran said they have truth, justice, and the Terran way, and that hero identification for Superman. Wait, what? Is it for truth, justice, and the Terran way? Oh, okay. Wow. I did not know they abandoned American way so soon, so early. So Spider-Man does notice that the museum is being broken into. He says, first, I have to set up my camera. And I'm thinking, how many times has he said that during a mugging? I'm going to set up my camera. Blam, blam. Ah, they shot me. They shot my mother. Ah, hold on. Okay,
he's like, he's like, guys, hold on. Before you start shooting, I'm putting up my camera. And then they shoot the camera.
That has actually happened, by the way, where the camera gets damaged. And he jumps down, and we see Spider-Man basically do away with the goons when, boom, the Doc Ock arms. And he's like, so you're the boss, Dr. Octopus. And Dr. Ock's saying, hey, after our last unfortunate encounter, I decided to plan my next outing in finer detail, and yet you still insist in thwarting me. And so Dr. Octopus says, and for that you will be punished. Look to the sky. Dun, 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 the flying octopus. He pauses for comment.
There's flying fish going on. Flying octopi.
Yeah, I think we saw the beginnings of the Brainiac ship here. This is ridiculous. You know what this is? This is nowadays would be a reason to sell toys. Has there ever been a flying octopus action figure or vehicle?
I don't think so. But then again, I was born in 85, so
I do like the fact that Spider-Man looks up and goes, oh, and I thought the Spider-Mobile was a fiasco, which it was. It really was. Narratively, anyway, I had the Spider-Mobile, by the way, and I thought that I thought it was really cool. They did
Spider-Mobile Funko.
Oh yeah. Don't you guys read the Daily Bugle? Spider-Man probably set up that robbery. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Spider-Man.
Did Superman bring up Spidey? Stealing is with great power comes great responsibility. Life lesson. And the flying octopus says Maranya, like the Spider-Mobile, had to be put out as a toy or should be. I'm surprised it wasn't at the same time. So he says, is that monstrosity supposed to impress me or impress people? Or is it just a giant conversation piece? You hear in Bennett Claude and Doc Ock tries to beat the heck out of Spider-Man, but the two of them start fighting. And Spider-Man or Doc Ock gets the best of them. I always wondered how Doc Ock could take a punch from Spider-Man.
The same way that Lex Luthor can use lasers to stop Superman.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you for explaining it to me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. So he knocks out Spider-Man, and they put the boxes in the flying octopus and get away. And the cops decide to come in, and he's like, oh, I'm going to run away. And the cops are like, blam, 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 blam. Stop. Blam, 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 blam. Or we'll shoot. Blam, 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 blam. I know Serpico was a thing for a reason, but holy crap. They just say, okay.
I don't know. Like I said, like at this point, it's like you're just gonna try. We'll kill Spider-Man. Like, do you know how long he's been around? How many people have probably tried doing this? And then just at this point, I'm thinking, like, are they working for the Kingpin?
And remember, he had not been cleared of Captain Stacy's murder.
Oh, that too.
Okay, right. So there you go. That makes a little bit more sense.
That happened actually about 20-something issues after this was published.
Okay. So we see the Daily Bugle, and he comes in, and J. Jonah Jameson starts yelling at him. He's like, hey, I got some pictures and some exclusives of the flying octopus. And J. Jonas literally says to the guy who does copy, I want this on the night. I want this in the night paper, whatever they call it, and the nightly edition. Just pick the best photo and put it on the front page. And so he then treats Parker like a king. And the guy brings back the paper. He goes, show me. He says, yeah, well, remember, you told me to pick the best picture. And it's this blurry thing right here with only an arm. And
oh, yeah, because he's taking a picture at night.
Yeah, and it's far away, and there's no real focus to it. And so J. Jonah Jameson leaps over the desk to try to strangle Peter. I actually like that scene. I thought that was some good humor.
And that was also something that never happened in the real book. So maybe there was a little bit of sensationalism from Marvel here to tell the DC readers, see what you're missing out on.
Mm-hmm. So Peter, he's all ticked off about what happened. He's thinking about quitting, and he notices a blimp over the Empire State Building. So he runs and decides, okay, I'm going to get up to that blimp. And he ends up having to...
You should point out that I don't think MJ knows that he's Spider-Man.
No,
right,
she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
Because look, he's like, I'm going to get some water. He's like, water?
Yeah. Excuse me, I feel sick. Got to get some water. She's like, water? What?
Did you get the significance of that, though? That was the Clark Kent excuse.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And so he runs up the Empire State Building, and he ends up jumping towards the balloon. And he's as he's doing, he's like, oh man, Mary Jane's going to be pissed. But there are some more important things than Gone with the Wind like this. And he jumps towards the blimp to find out that it is actually just a facade for the Octopus mobile. And that's why it set off his spider sense. And the two of them fight a bit over, like, in a blimp. That's not a good idea for anybody.
It's a good thing it wasn't just a normal blimp with cops inside.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so the blimp crashes into the water, and Spider-Man knocks him out, and he goes to join MJ. And this is the end of Prologue 2, and we get the Spider-Man. And it's so it tells a little bit of his origin, and it tells a little bit of what he could do, his webs, and so forth and so on.
I love the belts,
but only when he remembers to reload them.
Because
that was the thing. He had to run from the cops because he was out of web fluid, and then he forgot to reload them when he went to web onto the blimp.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. As far as the truth, justice, and Terran way, in those days, I'm sure there was nothing meant by that other than Earth. Yeah, I said here's the guy from Krypton, assimilating to Earth. So that I'm sure there was no meaning behind that. That would come later.
That's another thing. I don't know if you guys already did your list of things that are missing. Him reloading his cartridges, seeing the belt. Also, I love that in the early issues. You'd see him like that needs to be brought back. Cause I'm sorry, I know it's bad. I'm not get too logic with comic books, but I just love that because the dude is a street level crime fighter. He have super strength and is that, but he relies on science. So show me the science behind when he runs out of web fluid. Nowadays, you don't really see that. He just gets
true.
So
let's see. In a disguise, if you start stopping, we'll stop shooting.
And it's so cool. If you look at the utility belt, how he puts it in there, the little cartridge, like that's just so cool. It's like so shows you how smart he is.
Well, yeah, the web fluid itself. I also don't like the actually people. Well, if they do that, it could be like military. It could help the world instead of blah 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 blah. Shut up. And shut up. All right.
That's what we need in the military with web fluid.
Yeah. So we get to Prologue 3, which I'm thinking, really? I think this is where the story really begins, because this is where the crossover actually begins, where we get Lex Luthor and Doc Ock meeting, and we see Doc Ock's already in jail, which is something because Lex Luthor was captured first, and he's let in, and he says, Lex Luthor here, and Lex looks at him, should I know you? And he says, my name is Otto Octavius, and Lex Luthor saying, quickly known as Doc Ock. And so they get to chatting, and Lex Luthor is dropping hints. If we're here tomorrow, and they talk about this, maybe if they escape, they would switch villains. Doc Ock's not buying into it, but when they turn over, they've got cameras on them. Lex Luthor reveals this fake skin that he's got in an electronic escape pack It's actually an escape kit. They say that. They use those words right here. We'll see about that. They searched me well, all right, clear down to the skin, but not beneath it. Thus, they missed a layer of false epidermis under which I'd hidden an escape kit, and it ends up emitting a huge sound wave that makes everybody crumble. He shoves an earplug into Doc Ock's ear, and ladies and gentlemen, I asked it in the title, but yes, the most ridiculous panel in this entire comic book. I will let you guys comment.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Okay.
All right. He didn't know that Doc Ock would be in the cell across from him.
That is true.
Apparently, it was Doc Ock that blew Lex's cell doors off and then broke through the wall. Correct?
Yeah.
How was he going to escape?
That's a good question. Yeah, you're right. There's a bit of logic right here. That
only thing I can think of is conveniently he was there, but otherwise we would have to wait for another opportunity for something else.
Well, but yeah, that escape kit might start itching underneath the fake skin. And
I don't know if this was DC though, there would have been other DC villains in there he would have used.
Right here it says this small power cell will broadcast energy to Octopus' deactivated arms, allowing him to regain control of his tentacles. Wow, I read that wrong the first time. And so he blows the doors off, as you said. Yeah, and then we get this, and you're right. One, it's a logical fallacy, I guess, and then it's a piggyback ride on Doc Ock's back.
In fact, the thing was though that the thing with DC is their heroes were so overpowered in the Silver Age and into the Bronze that most of the villains they fought, certainly the ones that would be in jail, had no superpowers.
Yep.
They would always come up with clever ways to fight.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I said once they're captured, though, and put in a cell, there weren't a whole lot of DC villains that could have helped him that would have actually, qualified for a jail cell, and not a slab somewhere at whatever DC's equivalent was. To the vault.
You'd have to be a Blackgate, and it depends on who's there, who actually has,
Yeah. So again, but that just shows what a criminal genius Lex Luthor is. He knew that if this scheme was thwarted, he even knew that there'd be a supervillain from another comic book universe in the next cell.
There you go. Yeah, apparently.
That's why? Because he's able to travel through dimensions and all that stuff. So he probably had this,
He knew it. He knew it. Yeah, this is ridiculous though. I thought that the scene, and especially with the laugh,
it would have been great though.
Escaping.
I would have been awesome. They probably would have done this back then, having them two working together as far as building something.
Oh, that might actually work.
Now,
yeah.
Okay, you've read your share of Silver Age books. The villains maniacally laughing is as common as, and Clark Kent, who is secretly Superman.
Yeah, but villains maniacally laughing while riding piggyback on top of another villain is kind of newish to this book.
Oh my gosh, this is when a cartoon would be like, get off me.
Yeah.
So I ask you, how's he going to get away? How's Lex supposed to get away if he doesn't, hitch a ride on Doc's back?
There you go. I guess so.
Well, because he has his gloves there, so they're there. So I wonder if he had on his lock up.
Well, we get the little villains introduction, and we get the this is what they can do, and this is some of their equipment and all that, and then we meet. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, we're in the story. Superman and Spider-Man, A Duel of Titans, Chapter 1, as we join them at the Aerospace Museum or something like that. I forgot where they were.
Yeah, I forget everything before that. I always remember this part. This is where it always starts for me, because this is where they interact,
Well, this is where they actually meet up. Jameson is big. He comes off. He's like, Parker, one word with you. And Peter just lays right into him, and he says, I'm going to be on vacation. And then Jay Jonah says, you don't deserve vacation because you're not hard working, not diligent. There's times with Peter, old boy, I'm not even sure you're a photographer. And Peter just tells him to go screw himself.
Well, the thing is that it's weird that Jameson thinks that he's his boss, but he's not. Parker just gives him
he's a freelancer. So he can literally take it to whatever paper he wants.
He's like, you owe me some more. I'll go to the National News or somewhere.
The Globe.
The Globe.
And then at this point, no kidding, we get the same scene with Superman where he's with Lois and they talk about some of the things they're seeing around them. And Superman or Clark Kent overhears Morgan Edge saying, yeah, we're going to replace you. So what the hell am I talking about? Clark Kent goes over to Morgan Edge and he says, yo. And Morgan Edge says, basically, Tony doesn't want you, so we're going to replace you. And there's nothing you can do about it. We're going to get a Walter Cronkite or a Roger Mudd or a Dan Rather before he falsified documents. And he said, it's only a temporary replacement until the ratings rise. And Clark Kent goes, well, maybe I will have to figure something out. But in the meantime, Lois is like, wow, Clark is spineless. If he were only a creep like Steve Lombard. Okay, that just goes to show women like the jerks. Women like the jerks. But she thinks she can't be mad at Clark for too long. She climbs up on this scaffolding to get a picture of the comm lab, and she ends up falling and being saved by Peter Parker, who they have a little, oh, I know who you are. I know your work. I know your work. And then we see MJ walk up to him. And there's a little bit of, I think you're after my man there, Lois. And she's like, he's a little boy. I'm a Superman. And Superman flies down and then then does a little teleportation I-beam thing at him. And he flies away, which Peter Parker saw it and is like,
and Clark's like right there. It's like, well, what is going on?
Yep. So they both decide, holy crap, we got to help. And Peter Parker runs up to the nearest guy he can find to ask where the phone booths are. He's like, phone booths, where are the phone booths? I got to get to the phone booths. And he runs away. And of course, it's like Superman the movie, which will come out in about 2 weeks or 2 years. Yeah. So that means this book told the joke before Superman did.
I thought those surprised looks on their faces was because they saw a black guy in a DC comic in 1976.
Did they? Oh,
yeah.
Robbie Roberts.
Somebody came up to Joe and said, are you Tyrock's ancestor?
Goodness. And so
you get to go the rough that's changed.
There you go. Hey, what's up? Let's see. I always found it interesting is that in most older Marvel DC crossovers, it's treated as if they're from the same universe, like there's no
My thing is,
the first couple, definitely. Yeah.
1976, wasn't there cameras like in department stores and in places, like security cameras, so they would have seen him going to the roof?
You know what, though? Even if there were cameras back then were not like they are now.
No, but I mean, like, they would have had, like, a key exit door and stuff.
I mean, okay, let's say you, like myself, believe that the Bigfoot footage was staged, okay? It looks like it was done by somebody who had never even seen a camera before. So, yeah, the cameras in 1976 weren't all that great. So Spider-Man runs up to the top of the building, and he sees Superman, and Superman sees Spider-Man, and I got to tell you, that, and once again, incredible panel. When heroes clash, this is such an incredible panel, or page at this point.
Hey, I would say, Yellow Spider-Man, I am aware of that. He'd made a grand total of 2 appearances in those 5 years.
So my question is,
wait, who did?
He brought up John Stewart, who was who did in Nubia also, but she was in 1 issue and then wasn't referred to again for years. It was not a big thing at DC in those days.
Brian, I got a question. Is he swinging upwards into the sky from a building below, or is he hanging on, how's he getting up that high up there?
Well, look where Superman is coming from. This is the city is kind of at an angle. So it looks like they're higher than they actually are. But if you look where Superman is coming up from, you'll see a small building right behind them. So they're not higher than the highest building, because you can see that by Superman's arm. So there could be a higher building on this one. And so they look at each other. They're thinking both of them are responsible for the ladies being kidnapped. Superman takes a swing at Spider-Man, and let's see, he flies off. He goes, wait, something's wrong here, knowing Spider-Man's background. So Superman right away says, obviously, I acted irrationally. Spider-Man couldn't do this. And we say that it was Lex Luthor in a Superman suit that teleported the women away.
We all know in the 70s, if you had a Superman mask, it was those hard-hang plastic that cuts your face and you had the wires.
Yeah, well, apparently Lex Luthor's is a little bit better than that. So Superman flies away. He's plenty far, but Lex Luthor fires a red sun radiation device to give Spider-Man super strength. Why is Lex Luthor not bathing in this stuff constantly?
Yeah,
because it gives him an upcharge in powers. Superman goes up, says, Spider-Man, I've been thinking perhaps all this is a mistake. And Spider-Man says, you bet there's a mistake, and Buster, you made it. And he punches Superman, causing him some damage. Well, at least causing him to go, oh, okay, you hit me. And he starts flying towards a statue, but he was able to get himself aligned, flies back up, and Spider-Man swings so hard he snaps his own web and kicks Superman in the face.
No, in order to hit him with the red radiation, I didn't want to deduce that he has radioactive powers or something like that.
No, it's just flat out, I'm going to hit him with
a human being. I went with the red radiation might kill you.
That's it. That's it. And so Superman goes flying into a building, and Spider-Man, he's trying. He's like, yo, Spider-Man, stop. I'm trying to talk. Don't you notice I'm trying to talk to Spider-Man? Who cares? Boom. I'm strong now. Grr. And Superman is trying to not have rocks fall on people. And Spider-Man, in one of the greatest scenes, first it's Superman says, you know what? Screw it. I'm fighting. And he realizes that if he hits Spider-Man as hard as he was trying to hit him, it's going to kill him. So he stops it right in front of his face, but the wind continues to move forward, and it causes Spider-Man to go flying across the street through a building, and Superman meets him as he's landing. Spider-Man tries to kick him, but ends up bouncing off. And then in the greatest scene of any crossover, Spider-Man stands up, starts hitting. It was like, ow, my hand. And then he just starts working the body. It's like, and Superman's just watching. I love this scene.
You've got harder.
Yeah. I just love this scene.
Yeah, in Spider-Man's defense, in the sequel, when Superman braces himself, the Hulk's hardest punch can't make him flinch either. That's how powerful he was in those pre-crisis days.
Yeah, they changed that. they made the Hulk able to at least give him a fight. That is.
Yeah, Marty says he passed over the harder bit. Outrage.
Yep.
I got it for you, Marty.
Okay. So Spider-Man stands up. How'd you get so hard so suddenly? Is this a trick or what?
Ask
my hand, you have gotten harder. I guess if y'all want those lines being read, I'll read them the way you want them to be read. Well, whatever it is, it won't work.
Hey, look at it. They're foretelling the future when he turns into a man spider.
So there you go. Yes, there are jokes that kind of refer to Superman's penis in this book right here. Okay. So he hurts his hands. He says, "Are you ready to talk?" And they say, "Okay." And Spider-Man says, "Well, I'm not going to shake hands with him because my hands are hurting." And then, boom, they decide to team up. All righty.
I love the skis. It's so dumb.
Yeah, he's being towed by Superman, by the way.
I was thinking like he's gonna have to hitch a ride with Superman, just like how Batman hates riding with Superman.
Well, hey, what do you want? At least he's not giving him a piggyback ride.
Yeah, but he's on web skis.
I know when they did the Invincible cover
skiing on Superman's jet stream.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
I have no idea, but I know later in the Invincible crossover that they did with he had Invincible basically picked him up by the armpits. He's like, "Ow, my armpits!" Just being carried, So at least they didn't do that. But
it's a good thing I had my Ben Cooper Superman costume, Andy.
It would have been.
I want an adult-sized Ben Cooper.
You know what I thought it would probably would have done? It would be easier just having him have like a little kite thing, and having him tied to like to Superman.
They've done that before though. This was there was a couple things I said that you had JJJ coming across the desk, Peter telling him off. You have using the web skis. This was a pretty innovative book.
Oh yeah, Meyer said they've never read this before. These are fun. There's even a sequel to this as well.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing that one hopefully next week if all the stars align and we're able to do one next week. We're gonna be
all the stars and planets align.
Yeah, I would not mind going through some of the Marvel DC crossovers. There's a lot of them out there, and they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
I mean, when I read this, I was never really a Superman fan, but seeing them interact made me kind of want to dip into DC a little bit.
Like, trust you, I used my X-ray vision on Mary Jane. Face it, Tiger, you did hit the jackpot. All righty, so the two of them do decide to. Oh man, I think I missed this page. Did I skip over it? Wow. They decide to team up. Spider-Man goes into their into the villain's lair, and every floor panel is a booby trap, including the walls coming in on them. Superman crashes in, and they're like, "Oh, wait, there they are. They're just hanging out." And he's like, "Hey, look, who are playing house? It's Doc Ock and Lex Luthor. Very perceptive, ha ha ha." And they go on and they tell him that they have the girlfriends held hostage. Spider-Man leaps towards them and finds out that it's just a hologram projector. And he's about to use the computer, but Superman blows him away because they need an explosion and action scene at this point. And Superman tells him, "No, man, it was booby trap. But thanks to my memory and my photographic memory and super speed, I can build this computer even though its parts blew up."
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If he can rebuild a computer in the time it takes Spider-Man to blink, why was he hanging out outside while Spider-Man went in and risked his life to, dodge all those booby traps to get in the room?
Yeah. I think I'm going to quote somebody from earlier. Shh.
Breen, you know what's missing from this? An awesome Hostess ad.
How cool would that have been if they tossed one of those in?
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Or
they find a box of Hostess and they're like, "Let's share these, bro."
To just, you know what? I think there should be just one comic book dedicated to Hostess guy. All right, so anyway, they rebuild the computer, and they find out that they took them to 304 South Latitude, 3722 East Longitude, and Spider-Man's like, "That's Africa, isn't it?" And Superman says, "To be specific, Spider-Man, it's Mount Kilimanjaro." Okay, before we move on, some of the views and images that you see on screen are not the product or property of England Teen Loves Comics, I Love Comics, or anything associated. That being said, some of it's funny so we're going to go over it here, gang.
I just want to go back there before you scroll down, go back up. I just want to point out, remember I said about earlier in the beginning he does the after image technique, Superman on the left?
Yeah.
He was moving that fast.
Yeah, right here. So
he could have done that with the freaking lasers.
Yes, he could have. Yes, he could have. So they go to Africa, And descending at last to the plains of south of Kilimanjaro and west to the Pear Mountains, where I'll handle this, Spider-Man. These warriors are Maasai nomadic tribe familiar to this region. Greetings, my friends. I have come from the sky seeking 2 evil men. 1, a man of many arms. I'm just assuming those are, and one of the guys go, yo, Superman. You're Superman, right? I saw photos of you when I started in London. And he goes, my name's Nushaka. If there's anything you need, I'm your man. And they go to the Maasai village. My father should be able to help you, Superman. Nothing happens around here without Shaga's knowledge. So it's Nushaka and Shaga. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, so they introduce him to to Shaga, and he says, "Small problem. Shaga would like a sample of your superpowers as a trade thing." So Superman decides to juggle the natives.
Who got the guy has a heart attack?
I'm sorry. You know what?
Can you imagine realistic? Good Lord.
Okay, look, I get it that you're super fast, but juggling's a skill. Did you practice?
The other thing, though, the jolt of him moving around would sort of snap their bodies in pieces and moving around like that fast.
He's juggling black people.
I understand that, but the G-force of anybody would be complete murder.
You're adding science to a scene where Superman is juggling black people.
Trying not to get us here.
Earlier, you asked if this would ever be reprinted again.
No, they might skip over this entire scene. And come up with something.
Shotgun, nunchucks.
What are you gonna do? Okay, maybe I find it far more funny than you guys do, but you know what? It is damn funny. When then, what year did this comic come out? 1976, not 1940s, but 1976. It needs to be done, says Trusty Psychic. New Shaka Khan. Oh goodness. When does Shaka Khan show up? That's funny. So they say, hey, this is our best and finest food, a mixture of milk and cattle blood. And instead of, doing the honorable thing and taking it, Superman's like, screw you guys, give me a burger. And they fly off.
Have you noticed that they didn't even acknowledge Spider-Man was there?
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Thanks, but we'll pass. Nobody offered you, jackass.
Excuse me,
shut up.
But did Spider-Man juggle black people? No. I don't think he did. So why does he need acknowledgement at all?
Why wasn't Spider-Man just taking photos?
Oh, goodness. This is...
I can sell these.
This is a comic book, ladies and gentlemen. Superman, the free amusement park ride.
I'm just thinking Spider-Man. I'm next to Superman. I just start taking photos.
There you go. So Superman leaps off with Spider-Man under one arm and Nushaka Khan under the other. And he says, one of our warriors disappeared in the area. So they land. My people have avoided this place because of the rumors that it's haunted. That boulder, that's the boulder I told you about. Superman says, oh, look, this is a door, rips it off. And I guess Eric Killmonger jumps out and starts beating the crap out of the native and Spider-Man. He rips through his webbing, and Superman notices that there's red sun energy coming off that's sapping Superman's strength, but it's making the warrior even stronger. And Superman says, when I fought you earlier, I analyzed your webbing with my supervision, and I believe I could change the chemical balance in your web with a dose of heat vision. It's a slim chance, but so they do that, and they end
science, bros.
Yeah, science, right? And they end up incapacitating the warrior, and they go into another hidden layer. And then we cut to outer space where we see Doc Ock and Lex Luthor flying towards the satellite headquarters of the Injustice Gang. And Superman's like, how did I miss that?
And why did we not have those kind of ships in space? Those are so cool. No one's designed those yet.
Yep. And now we're into chapter 4, where we
Gumball
get
machine.
yes, where we get I know, right?
With the
where
Super
we
Bowl.
get to the layer of Lex Luthor and Doc Ock. We see that's where they're holding Mary Jane and Lois Lane, and there's no reason for them to be in this book at this point.
Well, if they did this book today, they'd be making out by now.
Yeah, or they would
Yeah.
be beating the crap out of Lex Luthor and Doc Ock.
The guys or the girls?
Then making out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's George. Wakanda forever. That's George.
Who do you
Jetson
think would
South as
be
Indy
in
Jones.
charge? Do you think it'd be Doc? Would be the Butch?
No, Lois and
Oh,
MJ would be.
I thought you were talking about the guys, because
No.
the guys would be making out too.
No, Lex Luthor is the Butch on this one all the way. Anyway, so we cut to a scene that truly doesn't need to be in the book, but I guess they were like, hey, we should put these two talking. And it's Jonah Jameson and Morgan Edge, and they're basically talking about how they've got employees that are unreliable because Peter Parker ditches J. Jonah and Clark Kent ditches Morgan Edge. And we cut to the comm lab being launched. And on the side here, you've got the army saying, hey, we're all set. And Lex Luthor is like, guys, I am so going to hack your comm lab. I'm going to hack it so hard and so good. And that's exactly what he does. And we see Superman and Spider-Man, who's in a similar ship as Lex Luthor, flying to the comm lab.
You just commandeered one.
Yep, where there's a laser that fires down to Earth, causing all sorts of higgledy-piggledy. Superman decides, you know what? I'm going to go deal with that. They're brought in. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I see it go back up, it's a little bit. Hurricane building upon... Hurricane building a gale upon gale. You scroll past it. I was reading the line and then down.
Oh, hurricane, gale upon gale. Yeah, more than one. It would be a handful. Trust me on that one. Yeah. So they're all kind of woozy and feeling knocked out. And Superman says, Luthor, what's the purpose of all this? And Lex says, you mean you haven't guessed? The purpose is blackmail. I love this. Eric, I absolutely love this. It's simple. I want money.
Well, at least that's what we think. But yeah, can I point out something else? If something has made Superman groggy, Spider-Man should have been having the autopsy performed on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless it was specifically tuned for only for Superman and not for anybody else.
I do think that there's a quote to cover this. Shh. Yeah. So
we should be doing this in a library.
So Lex says, as you can see on this monitor screen, most of the Midwest from New Orleans through St. Louis to Chicago is in the midst of a hurricane. My doing, of course, thanks to an alteration of ComLab's advanced communications equipment, unless the government pays me $10 billion within the next hour, I'll allow this storm center to build until it swamps the entire world. Are there even hurricanes in Chicago?
It sounds like that bad movie with Gerard Butler.
Right, Geostorm. So Superman and Spider-Man figure, okay, we got to do something. He's like, we got to move fast. We've got to move and we got to move fast. And Lex like, no, you should be stunned and groggy. And so he's like, yeah, no matter, I can control the artificial gravity in the satellite. Dude, Superman flies. He's not going to be like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm not on the ground. What do I do?
Spider-Man's like, okay, I'll just leap off a wall then.
It's Doc Ock says Superman is still off balance from Luthor's sonic blast, and he grabs Superman. He throws him into Spider-Man, who can't get his webs to fly straight because of the no gravity, and it actually acts as momentum, pushing him back into the wall where Superman throws, or Doc Ock throws Superman into Spider-Man. They get out of the webbing that Spider-Man has now wrapped them both into and figure, you know what? Superman says, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me grab your arms here, Doc. Ripping one of it. Looks like he rips one off. Look at that.
Two.
Holy crap. Yeah.
Knock his glasses off. How do you ever see?
And then he, dang, yeah, he's actually saying that. My glasses, I can't see.
How bad is he? Is he nearsighted, farsighted? He just can't see anything.
I don't know. It doesn't say. And then Superman flies into the wall, and he's like, I'm still so dizzy from the sonic weapon. And Lex Luthor's like, I got your glasses. Here they are, but they're all broke. And then Spider-Man beats the snot out of Lex Luthor. We see Superman going, holy crap, you take care of these two. I've got to go stop that thing that's going to destroy the entire East Coast of America. I love that. That is exactly the division of labor between Superman and Spider-Man.
That's also the other thing, too.
I'm going to stop nature.
I keep thinking about the whole, like, we're going to get gravity. It only works if Spider-Man, like, temporarily stuns him because he's, like, in midair. But the dude sticks to walls.
Yeah.
So it's
Here,
like...
It would be like that scene in the Transporter where he lops himself down with oil. All Spider-Man has to do is stand right on the wall and yep. Let's see. Prince would love to have Lex Luthor's outfit. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have one. If Lex could transport Mary Jane and Lois to a satellite using I-beams, he should have at least put them in slave girl costumes. Exactly. I'm wondering why he didn't do the I-beam teleportation. Oh, Spider-Man, by the way, join Superman in the sun. Isn't that, Joe Rogers saying 10 billion was that much money even in print in 1976? Superman and with a Southern dialect, says Rhaegar. You're welcome. You're welcome. Trusty Sidekick says Lex can transport people instantaneous, but he can't make some shatterproof glasses. Right.
Well, he hadn't been asked.
That's true. That's true. So Superman tries to escape, but Lex Luthor shuts the metal doors in front of him, and Superman's like, hey, I'm going to break these metal doors, okay? You guys might lose, oxygen and air pressure and all that. But actually, they do not even discuss that particular thing. And Superman flies down to Earth while Spider-Man has to fight the two villains.
Well, Spider-Man webbed it up off panel.
No,
we'll go with that.
Okay, that makes sense. And we see that Lex Luthor is actually getting a little bit maniacal because he's like, you see Spider-Man in moments, the chain reaction will start. And what began as a simple blackmail plan will end the glorious destruction in the glorious destruction of a planet which held my genius in contempt. Well, genius, you're destroying your own planet, dumbass. That's why I brought Superman here through Miss Lane to witness the final culmination of my black ambition. And Spider-Man's like, hey, Doc Ock, if all you want is money and he destroys the Earth, how are you going to spend it? And Octopus is like, hey, I can't let you do that, Luthor. This is my home, too.
The other thing is, unless that ship recycles oxygen, you're screwed.
Yep, that's true. He says you destroy. So Lex Luthor smashed the panel, or Octopus smashes the panel. Lex Luthor says, you destroyed the program module. I've lost control of the ComLab's laser probe. You blind, interfering fool. So Lex Luthor beats the crap out of Doc Ock, and we see the giant tidal wave is headed towards goodbye Boston, goodbye New York, goodbye Washington. Well, I guess you get the point.
Goodbye Florida.
And so Superman flies so fast up and down the coast, he causes a big old sonic wall, a sonic boom that keeps the waves from falling and hitting their target. And as they say, the irresistible object greeting the immovable force. For an instant, the floods of Noah washed the earth once more. And then all of a sudden, there is peace. And afterwards, and we see
the Rocky hand grip.
Yeah. That was Predator right there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
So Superman, they say we'll meet again. They do the Predator handshake and both grab their villains and fly away. After all, it isn't every day two living legends go around making history. Am I right or am I right? And Superman, looking at the camera, says, Spidey, old friend, I don't think anyone's ever been righter. And so we get the epilogue where we see both reporters handing in the stories to their bosses, keeping their jobs. And happily, the quintuplet there goes, well, not really, because they're not dating each other. And they say, and so our heroes fade into the sunset. We bid them a fond farewell, secure in the knowledge that peace reigns on earth and that justice is triumphant for tonight anyway. And folks, this is definitely the end. So there you go, gang. That is that. And these are the, this is what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Superman just looked too dominant. So you have
the first one they didn't. Yeah, both of them were not all in. Yeah, the second one. Yeah, I said it was all Superman. Then so that's.
But with this one, both bodies are the same size. Neither one of them looks like they've got it over the other one, or they could have just done this. That would have worked too. So
right.
There you go. I don't know what.
Anyway, no, that's
all righty. There you go. So Venkman, I don't know if you've ever read this, so give us your take, ladies and gentlemen in this chat. By all means, let me hear what you have to say about this book as well.
Well, I read this 20 years ago. Probably exactly right around 2003, 2006, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got into comic books, I came across this, and I was like, "What is this?" So I read it. This was actually part of the DC versus Marvel crossover I had. I have both of these inside the graphic novel.
Yeah, the trade paperback. Yeah.
And so I was like, wow. And I never dawned on me to look to see if these were in treasure editions, because I had no idea treasure editions, what they were, they even existed. So seeing they did the oversized books of that's really cool, especially when you're older.
You won.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about I'm talking about back then, dummy. So
who are you calling a dummy? Dummy?
Right.
You're still supporting the Reds, right?
Okay, so anyway, I think it was a good story. Eric, I know this is one of your favorites, so what do you have to say?
Oh, it was fun to go over. It was fun to pick apart. You know what? And I don't care. I'll read this 10 more times before it's over, and I'll love it 10 more times. I mean, this. Yeah, again, if you in 2021, it probably doesn't seem like that big a deal. But you got 1976 or late 75, whatever it was. This was just unbelievable that this happened, because I mean, Marvel was 15 years old by then, as it's in its current incarnation. DC had been around for decades. It probably couldn't have happened before then, because it took Marvel time to catch up to DC and then finally overtake them. But this was something that fans talked about in schoolyards and wherever fans congregated in those days. It really was before comic book shops were there was more than a handful of them, so it wasn't comic book shop conversation. But I mean, this was again, for me, I was brand new to the hobby, so I thought, man, this is great. But I imagine if you'd been reading for years, this was probably just heaven on earth for you. And like I said, to me, it hasn't lost a thing in all these years. I mean, yes, it's silly. Yes, there are plot holes you can drive that Injustice Gang cruiser through, but none of that matters.
Yeah, it is fun, and reading it and doing this, it really kind of just highlights it. It highlights the fact that this is a time that I mean, just it isn't. What am I trying to say?
A time when things were great.
Reading this book right now, we could see what was lost. We could see what's going on. Everybody is so self-serious now. They don't want to do entertainment. They want to do, as we always put it, messaging. There has to be, with my platform, I have the responsibility to. No, you don't have any other responsibility than to entertain. Everything else, that's gravy. And yes, politics have always been in comics. We know this. You're an idiot if you think we don't know this. But they lost that. This is just pure freaking entertainment. And I got to tell you, there was no agenda to this. There was no agenda to this. It was just absolutely freaking entertainment. done.
If this had been done maybe a year earlier, Carmine Infantino might have kept his job. Jeanette Kahn might have never been brought in, because he basically got fired for losing the company, north of $1 million, I believe, over the course of a few years, and that was big money in those days. But I'm sure this made a good chunk of it back on his way out the door, because he got fired about 3 weeks after this hit the show.
Yeah, I remember reading that in the implosion book. Everything. Finally, it looked like things were going to be good for the company, and he comes back. Nope, got fired. None too happy too.
And I guess it all worked out, because if he had stayed, I don't know what direction DC would have gone in.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt if it would have been as innovative as the direction they did go in. So this way we got the awesome crossover, and we got someone to come in that actually, move the company forward, which unfortunately, I don't think that was Carmine Infantino's strength per se, because he was an art director. He was kind of like the next man up. They'd been through a handful of EICs, I guess it would have been at the time. I don't know why he got it over Julius Schwartz, but I don't know. But I said that's neither here nor there. This was just fun.
It was a very entertaining book.
I've just learned that anything pre-Quesada for Marvel was great.
Also, I'm going to say this. Thank you very much for capturing or catching the apostrophe I didn't know I put in there. I'm going to fix it. Then let's see. No pages are wasted in the story. The prologue set up the action and gave capsule summaries of both the heroes, the villains, the supporting cast, which is something that you and I lament the loss of. So you get in those prologues, you really do almost get a full comic. I think you would if you added in the ads.
Well, you did. But, it was close. I mean, 16 at the time, I think. I think DC might have been down to 17. They might have been 17 pages at the time, but like I said, they were very careful to, make it equal across the board. Even like I said, you said this scene wasn't necessary, but the Jameson Edge conversation, they was to basically, show that they weren't just. Actually, I think that was there to show that they actually did respect Clark and Peter, because up to that point, you had not seen anything resembling that. So I think that was kind of like to show that they did.
I did like the joke about how it says, when they were talking about how Clark's different, disappearing. He's like, sounds like a photographer of mine, always disappearing whenever the action starts.
Yep.
And it gives it just plays on the joke that the fact that they're always running, disappearing.
And I want to thank Jerry Conway for not putting Aunt May in this book.
Oh my gosh, that would have been horrible. I love Aunt May in certain things, but I don't need her in everything.
Yeah, so that was a good non-touch.
Oh man.
So there you go, gang. That is our take. Let me get some comments before we head off. It was a time when people didn't get butthurt over everything. Yep. This story is heaven on earth, says Trusty. Agree. And Rhaegar's pointing out Superman did have an agenda. He wanted to go over to Africa and juggle Zulu warriors. People in charge getting fired instead of promoted for losing money in comics. What madness is this, says Jim Sorensen. Let's see. Jeanette Kahn was a pretty solid editor. Yes. Yep. She did have that implosion hiccup, but after that, she greenlit some really cool stuff. Spider-Man was named like that as a play on Superman, so that explains the slip up in the early issues of his book. And Trusty is saying, was there ever a better casting than J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson? Another top 10, ladies and gentlemen. Top 10 greatest, and then we'll do one worst casting of all time.
He does have some competition, though.
Christopher,
when you read
Christopher Reeves is Superman Puppeteen when he reads. You're right. There you go. Really good stuff out there. Really good stuff. I do agree, and that would be a great.
Where was Black Panther?
I know, right? That would have been funny to see him done. Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for joining us for this. It was a lot of fun. I think we might continue. I would love to continue and read the sequel for next week. I think, and talk about that. So you guys have some homework.
Is the sequel just as long?
Do yourself a favor. Find a copy of the sequel here.
Dr. Doom.
Be it online, or if you can get yourself one of these. Bidding begins when Marani says go. Do whatever you can there. We're going to be talking about next Thursday.
If you're having trouble finding it, just go on Amazon and type in cash grab, and that will pop up.
There you go. Let's see. Let me shut this down just a little bit here. And let's see. Friday, tomorrow, we've changed we're not going to do the first appearance of Kate Kane and all that because Doom Patrol just dropped today. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we looked at the first appearance of Doom Patrol? So it's My Greatest Adventure, number 80.
And I do apologize. I was going to be voicing Kate.
Yeah, that is true. But now you can voice.
Was she a smoker?
Girl. I know. And then on Saturday, of course, we have our auction. I do have a couple of the big dogs. So
it's like you're targeting me.
There you go.
It's another one.
Hear that giant sucking sound? That's all the money going out of England's wallet.
There you go. Here, let me. Yeah.
I already own money. Now I gotta get.
So this is the double-sized issue right here.
Who painted Adrian Barbeau's face over Vampire?
I know, right? Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
So, yeah. So this is number 59 and 67. Got those. And for those of you who like comics, I know that they're not the most popular DC comics ever in the world, but this is the first issue of the Atom and Hawkman team up.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay. And I think that goes very well with the second issue of same team up.
Also cool.
Breen's like, I already got it. Holds it up.
No, I do not.
And these are awesome, awesome issues, by the way. So those are going to be some of the big dogs on Saturday.
Ooh,
so please, by all means, that's a good one as well.
Marty, say go, please.
It's also about a 0.5.
Really that?
It's pulled that out of a box that we were going to throw out, and I said, "Nah, I can't throw that away."
Right? No, that's like the first Neil Adams on.
Yeah, this is like a $400 book in mint, but this is about a 40-cent copy. This was also there. Have you ever seen this?
No, not that. Looks like a trade paperback version of it.
It's basically it's from 1965. I don't know what it is, but it looks cool.
I'll just say this though: if you didn't check out Graphic Man's stream last night with Breen on there, Breen was showing up a lot of good books he'd won your auction.
Oh, cool.
I was waiting for Marani to show up and say go.
So also real quick, did you see the first issue of Shudder?
No.
You'll appreciate this. You know the circumstances, right? The Warren estate bitched and moaned, so Warrant had to stop producing. They had to change the name from Creeps to Shudder. Yeah. So look at the first issue.
Oh my, yeah, that is
what an FU.
Yeah. Yeah. That is kind of funny. All right. So please join us tomorrow. We do the reading at 10 on Fridays. The auction will be 9-ish Eastern. So join us for that. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So once again, thank you very much for hanging out with us. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. You kids have a great time.
Good night, kids.